The watch world has a strange blind spot. While everyone keeps talking about expensive watches like they're the only ones worth owning, there are cheap watches that deliver something far more important than hype. They just keep working. No drama, no flex culture, no constant servicing bills. And that's exactly why they matter. These are watches that sell for under $200, yet owners routinely report 10 to 15 years of daily use with minimal maintenance. Some run on movements known to last 100,000 plus hours without major failure, while luxury pieces sit in drawers waiting for occasions that are worth it. These watches keep showing up every day, on time, every time. What makes these watches special isn't marketing, it's math. They're built with simple cases, proven movements, and parts that are easy to replace. Drop them, scratch them, wear them in heat, rain, or dust. They don't complain. That's why different people who actually rely on a watch choose them, even when they could afford something better. In this video, we're uncovering 3 overlooked watches that deliver insane real-world value, why they are being dismissed, and how they outperform far more expensive watches where it actually matters. These aren't mere fashion pieces, they're tools. And once you own one, you'll understand why some people never go back. Let's begin. Diamonds in the rough. Watches are everywhere. People wear them to tell time, to make a style statement, or even to show who they are. Some watches cost thousands of dollars, and everyone notices them. But there is a whole world of watches that cost very little. These cheap watches are often ignored by most people. But many of these simple watches are real, hidden gold mines. They can be fun, practical, and even worth more than you think. Most people think that only very expensive watches are good. They believe that if a watch is cheap, it must not be worth owning. This idea is common because big ads and fancy shops always show high-end brands. But when you look closer, many watches under $200 or even under $100 are very reliable, stylish, and loved by people all over the world. These watches give more value than their price suggests. Take a moment to imagine a watch that costs less than a night out with friends. Now think that this same watch keeps good time, looks good, and has real mechanical parts inside. There are watches just like that. These budget watches often have strong build quality, long life, and even fan followings. Serious watch collectors sometimes buy them just for fun or to start their watch journey. This makes cheap watches feel like hidden treasures, gold mines waiting to be found. One reason cheap watches can be gold mines is because they give more than you expect at their price. A good affordable watch may have useful features like water resistance, automatic winding, or a design that never goes out of style. Some budget watches are made by brands with long histories. These brands know how to make reliable timepieces. Even though the price is low, the quality stays strong. This means people can enjoy these watches for many years. Another reason cheap watches are special is that they are easy to wear every day. Many people never wear their expensive watches because they worry about scratching them or getting them damaged. But a watch that costs less doesn't have that worry. You can wear it anywhere, to school, to the market, or even when you travel. Cheap watches become everyday companions instead of something you keep in a box. This makes them very valuable in real life. Some affordable watches also have fan groups and communities online. You might find people on forums and social platforms talking about favorite budget watches, comparing styles, and sharing photos. This might surprise you if you think only expensive watches have fans. People celebrate their small watches just like others celebrate big brands. This shows that value isn't always tied to the price tag. A cheap watch can be loved just as much as a luxury one. There is also a surprising fact about some cheap watches. They can hold value. Unlike many accessories that lose value over time, some watches keep their worth or even become more valuable later. This is especially true for models that collectors like. When a watch becomes popular in the watch community, its price can rise in secondhand markets. This means buying a simple watch today might become a smart move in the future. Moreover, cheap watches often carry real stories. Some watches have been worn by famous explorers, pilots, or athletes. Others gained popularity because they were used in movies or worn by interesting people. A watch doesn't need expensive diamonds or a huge price tag to carry a story. Its history and how people connect with it matter more. These stories create emotional value, which makes the watch feel special. Of course, not all cheap watches are gold mines. Some are made with very low-quality parts and break easily. This is why it's important to learn what to look for in a watch. A good, affordable watch will have a strong movement, a design that ages well, and reliable build materials. It may not look flashy, but it will do its job well and give its owner great value for money. Good, cheap watches also teach people about watches in general. If you are new to watches and want to learn how they work, starting with a watch that costs $100 or less makes sense. You can learn how mechanical parts move, how water resistance works, and how a watch feels on your wrist without spending a lot. This is a kind of hands-on experience that expensive watches might not offer because people are too careful to wear them. In essence, cheap watches are fun. There is a joy in finding a great watch for a low price. It feels good to discover something everyone else ignored and love it for its value. When you wear a watch you enjoy and that works well, you feel a connection beyond its price tag. So next time you see a cheap watch, take a second look. You might be looking at a treasure. Now, let's check out 3 watches that give value for money, even if a lot of people ignore them. The Seiko 5. A Seiko 5 watch is one of the most talked about affordable automatic watches in the world today. It is a watch that many people don't notice at first, but once they learn about it, they begin paying attention. The watch has a long history that starts back in the early 1960s. In 1963, Seiko introduced what was first called the Sportsmatic 5, a watch that was meant to be reliable and affordable. And it was, for its time. Soon, the name changed to Seiko 5, and it became known simply as a great watch for everyday people. This was the beginning of something special in the watch world, even though many people back then didn't see what was coming. What makes a Seiko 5 special starts with the idea of value, as most mechanical watches that run with gears and springs rather than batteries, cost hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But Seiko wanted to make an automatic watch that didn't cost too much. They did this by building the movement, the heart of the watch, in their own factories. Because all the parts are made by Seiko themselves, they are able to control the quality and the cost at the same time. This means the watch is built with care, but still costs much less than many other mechanical watches you will find. The Seiko 5 uses automatic movement. This means the watch doesn't need a battery. Instead, it winds itself using the motion of your wrist when you wear it. Inside every Seiko 5, there are tiny gears, springs, and a rotor that spins when you move. This motion stores energy so the watch keeps running. Most Seiko 5 watches have about 40 hours of power reserve, which means they can keep working even if you take them off for a day. That's something that not many watches at this price point can do. One of the classic models people talk about is the Seiko SNK 809. It has a simple black dial with clear numbers and a day-date window that tells you both the day of the week and the date. Even though its style is straightforward, many people love this because it is easy to read and looks clean on the wrist. The SNK 809 has become almost legendary among budget automatic watches, and many people pick it as their first mechanical watch. Unlike some other watches where the crown, the knob you use to set the time, is placed at the usual 3 o'clock position, Seiko 5 often places the crown at the 4 o'clock position. This gives the watch a sportier look and makes it more comfortable to wear, especially during everyday activities. The cases of these watches are often made of stainless steel, and many of them have a special crystal called Hardlex, which is tougher than normal glass and protects the watch face from scratches and bumps. Because of its strong build, a Seiko 5 can handle daily life well. It is not a fragile piece of metal that you must protect at all times. It's made to be worn regularly, to school, to work, or even when you travel. Many owners say they have worn their Seiko 5 for years and it still runs strong, reminding them that it was made to last a long time. In that way, the watch feels more like something reliable and trusted, rather than something delicate and expensive. Every Seiko 5 has a unique personality too. Some are designed like field watches, which are simple and rugged. Others look more like dress watches, with clean dials that can stand beside nicer outfits. There are also Seiko 5 sports models, which have rotating bezels and stronger water resistance. These are watches that can be used in water sports, like swimming or snorkeling. With their different styles and uses, Seiko 5 watches appeal to many people with different tastes. Another interesting thing about the Seiko 5 line is how much watch enthusiasts enjoy them. Some online communities, on places like Reddit and YouTube watch channels, talk about Seiko 5 watches, often as great first automatic watches. Many people compare them to far more expensive watches and are amazed by how good they can be for such low prices. A lot of watch fans even customize their Seiko 5 watches by changing straps or swapping parts, making the watch truly their own. You might also find some Seiko 5 watches with a see-through back. This lets you look at the moving parts inside the watch. Even though the movement isn't decorated like luxury watches that cost thousands, just being able to watch the gears and springs work together is something many owners enjoy. It helps people learn more about how mechanical watches operate, and it gives a kind of emotional connection to the watch you wear. Despite all the great things about Seiko 5 watches, it is also true that they are sometimes overlooked by people who only look at the price. Because they cost much less than many watches, people assume they might not be good. But once someone starts to wear a Seiko 5, they often realize that the quality and mechanics are better than expected. This is one of the reasons Seiko 5 watches are so interesting. They surprise people with what they offer. It is also worth noting that the Seiko 5 line has changed over time. In 2019, Seiko updated the 5 Sports line with improved movements, stronger bracelets, better lume, and more modern designs. These changes helped bring new life to the Seiko 5 watches and made them popular with younger buyers who want something reliable and stylish without spending a lot. Next up is an interesting watch brand that you've never quite thought of, but isn't the regular: the Orient brand. When people talk about affordable watches that are actually worth owning, one Japanese brand that keeps coming up is Orient. This brand has been making watches since the 1950s, and today it is part of a larger group, trusted for quality watchmaking. Orient has always stood out by producing remarkable watches. For many people, Orient is a gateway into mechanical watches, offering quality and design that feels much more expensive than the price tag. One reason Orient is respected among watch fans is because the company builds its own movements in-house. That means the engine inside the watch is made by Orient, not bought from someone else. This is unusual at the price range that Orient operates in. Most brands that sell automatic watches under a few $100s use movements made by other manufacturers. But Orient builds theirs, and this gives their watches a strong reputation for long-term reliability and durability. Two of the most famous and talked about Orient watches are the Bambino dress watch and the Mako dive watch. Each of these has its own personality and purpose, but both represent Orient's idea of giving serious watch features at affordable prices. The Orient Bambino is a classic dress watch that many people choose as their first automatic watch. Unlike sporty watches, a dress watch is something you wear with smart clothes, like a button-down shirt, or during events that require a more refined look. What makes the Bambino special is how it mixes elegance with a mechanical heart that most expensive dress watches have. The Bambino uses automatic movement, so it doesn't need a battery. It winds itself through the movement of your wrist. Many Bambino watches also have hand winding and hacking functions, meaning you can manually wind the watch and stop the second hand to set the time exactly right. One of the signature design elements of the Bambino is its domed crystal over the watch face. This curved glass gives the watch a vintage look, creating gentle distortion when you tilt your wrist. On many watches costing much more, you will find this feature. But on the Bambino, it comes at a far more affordable price. This classic appearance makes the Bambino popular with people who want a timeless watch they can wear to work, formal events, or even daily life without it looking out of place. The Bambino line is not just one single watch. There are several versions with slight design differences. Some have Roman numeral hour markers, others have simple stick markers, and some even show part of the watch's mechanism through an open heart window. These versions let buyers pick a look that fits their style, whether they like something ultra simple or a bit more detailed. Even though they all sit in the same affordable price range, they still feel like watches much more expensive than they are. Another popular model from Orient is the Mako dive watch. Dive watches are usually made to be very strong and easy to read underwater, and the Mako delivers these qualities despite its low price. Many Orient Mako models are built with 200 meters of water resistance, which means they aren't just splash-proof. They are suitable for swimming, snorkeling, and other water activities. This level of resistance is impressive for a mechanical watch that doesn't cost close to what typical professional dive watches do. The Mako also includes features that help it stand out as a reliable everyday watch. It has a rotating bezel, which is a ring around the watch face that can turn one way. This is normally used by divers to measure time underwater, but many people also use it in daily life as a simple timer. The dial markers and hands usually have luminous material, which means they glow in the dark, a useful feature if you need to see the time in low light. In terms of materials, newer Orient Makos often come with a sapphire crystal, a type of glass that is very scratch-resistant and normally seen on more expensive watches. The cases are made from stainless steel, which resists rust and damage from everyday wear. Because of these construction choices, many owners say the Mako feels much sturdier and more precise than you would expect from a watch in its price category. The features of these watches make people feel like they are getting a real watch, not just something cheap that only tells time. Many owners claim that Orient watches can feel like they belong in a higher price category than they actually do. This kind of review helps the brand stay respected among people who love mechanical watches but don't want to spend a fortune. Meanwhile, the next brand has been a go-to for many buyers, but it doesn't always get the credit. The Casio models. Casio is a brand that many people know, even if they don't think much about watches. Casio is a Japanese company that has been making electronic products for decades, and one of the things it became most famous for is digital watches. These watches are simple, cheap, and dependable, and over time, they have become icons of both daily life and fashion. Casio digital watches and the calculator watch have been worn by millions of people around the world, and some of these models have been in production for over 3 decades. One of the most well-known Casio watches is the Casio F91W. This watch was introduced in 1989, and its design has barely changed since then. The F91W has a small rectangular face with a digital display that shows the time, day, and date. It has a built-in alarm and stopwatch, and it even lights up so you can see the time in the dark. It also has a long battery life, which can last around 7 years before needing a new battery. Because the F91W is so cheap and widely available, millions of people have worn it for everyday use. It became one of the most sold watches in the world because of its low price and reliability, and many people remember seeing these watches on the wrists of students, workers, and travelers. You will still find the F91W in stores and online till this day, and it continues to be a favorite choice for people who want a watch that simply tells time without any complicated features. Another classic Casio digital watch that many people like is the Casio A168 series. Unlike the simple plastic look of the F91W, the A168 usually has a metal band and metal case that gives it a slightly more stylish appearance. The A168 also features functions like a stopwatch, alarm, and a light to see the display in low light. Some versions even have a gold tone finish that makes them look like a dressier accessory, even though they are still very affordable. The design feels both retro and modern at the same time. Its metal band can make it feel more special on the wrist than a simple plastic strap, and many people wear the A168 as a fashion piece as much as a timepiece. Vintage and retro styles have become popular again, especially with younger generations who like the look of older technology and fashion from the 80s and 90s. Casio watches like this series fit perfectly into this trend because they look like classic digital watches from past decades, but still work perfectly well today. Casio didn't stop with simple timekeeping functions. In the late 1980s, Casio also released the calculator watch. This model has tiny buttons on the face that let you do basic calculator functions, an idea that felt futuristic when it first came out. The calculator watch became part of pop culture, especially after it appeared in movies and TV shows from the 1980s and 1990s. Even today, this feature makes the watch interesting for both practical use and nostalgia. These digital watches are not just old or boring gadgets. They combine technology and practicality in a way that fits many people's lives. For example, the tiny calculator could help students or anyone who needed a simple math tool at a moment's notice. The alarm and stopwatch on the F91W or A168 could help someone wake up on time or time a short run. These watches keep things simple, yet they still do everything many people really need from a watch. One reason these Casio watches have stayed popular for so long is because of their build quality. Casio uses materials and designs that can survive everyday use. Even though they are cheap, many of these watches can handle little bumps, light rain, or being shoved into a backpack without breaking. The batteries in these watches last for years, which means you don't need to worry about charging them every day like a smartwatch. These practical choices make them very easy to live with. Digital Casio watches are also known for being very lightweight. People often forget they are even wearing them, which makes them comfortable for school, work, or travel. A lightweight watch can feel especially good during hot weather or physical activities when a heavier watch might feel uncomfortable. Many owners of these classic Casio models talk about how natural they feel on the wrist and how easy they are to wear all day long and every other day. Even though the functions seem basic compared to modern smartwatches, there is something appealing about having the essentials done well. Some Casio models, for example, have a bit more functionality, like World Time, which shows the time in different cities around the world, all while remaining affordable and easy to use. Watches like this show how Casio blended useful features with simple digital design to meet different needs. Over time, many collectors and watch lovers have come to appreciate Casio's classic digital watches for historical reasons. Some old models, even though cheap when originally sold, are now valued for their place in watch history or cultural memories. A few rare vintage watches from Casio can even go up in value because people want to preserve them as a piece of design history. Casio digital watches also have a reputation for being accurate. Even simple models keep time very well without needing constant adjustments. This reliability is one of the reasons many people trust Casio watches for daily wear. They do what they are supposed to do, show the correct time with minimal fuss, proof that a simple, affordable timepiece can hold much more value. However, aside from their features, these budget watches have other purposes. The importance of cheap watches. When most people think about watches, they imagine expensive metal pieces that cost thousands of dollars. Maybe they picture a gold Rolex or a shiny Swiss design that only wealthy people can afford. But there is another side to watches that many people don't think about. This is the world of budget watches. Watches that cost very little money and are easy for almost anyone to buy. These watches matter in ways that go far beyond their cost. What makes budget watches important is how they expand what watches mean to people. Just because a watch costs less doesn't mean it is not useful or meaningful. In fact, many inexpensive watches are designed to be durable, reliable, and stylish, qualities that people need day after day. Although cheap watches sometimes use simpler materials, they still perform well for everyday life. Because materials and construction have improved over time, some affordable watches today can still be relied on for regular use. Not everyone has a lot of money, and many people would never be able to afford a luxury timepiece. But a watch doesn't need to be expensive to mark an important moment in someone's life. A simple watch can be the first piece someone buys for themselves, a gift from a friend or family member, or something you wear when you start a new job or finish school. These watches can carry meaning that goes beyond the label on the back. They become part of daily routine and personal history. Another important reason these watches matter is that they help people learn about watches without big financial risk. Luxury watches can be intimidating to beginners because they cost so much money. If a watch costs thousands of dollars, people often worry about denting or damaging it. But when someone buys an affordable watch first, they can learn how watches work, how to care for them, and how different styles look on their wrist without fear, thereby helping people understand what they like and what they might want in a future watch. Owning a watch is not only about how much money you spend, it is also about variety, enjoyment, and the stories behind each watch. Cheap watches allow collectors to add variety to their collections without spending a lot. Someone might have one expensive watch and several affordable ones because each watch tells a different story or fits a different daily moment. People like to have watches for different occasions, and budget watches make this possible because they don't require spending large sums on each piece. Affordable watches also matter because they help people express their personal style without pressure. Some cheap watches offer fun designs, colorful faces, and interesting patterns that might not be available in more expensive lines. Fashion trends change quickly, and not everyone wants to spend a lot of money on something that might feel dated in a few years. With affordable watches, people can experiment with different looks and have fun with style without worrying about losing money if tastes change. In some cases, budget watches even become collector's items over time if they gain popularity or become hard to find. While most inexpensive watches do not dramatically increase in financial value like luxury watches sometimes do, there are exceptions. For example, certain models from well-known brands that were made in limited runs or have unique designs can become sought after as vintage pieces many years later because people remember them or want them for nostalgia. These kinds of stories show that value can sometimes come from history and community interest, not just the original price. Because watches are too personal to be defined only by their price, people often build emotional connections with even inexpensive watches. Many watch owners talk about how a particular affordable watch was part of big life moments, like first jobs out of college, first trips abroad, or even gifts given by loved ones. These watches stay on their wrist for years, collecting memories and becoming part of their everyday life. That is a kind of value that a price tag cannot measure. From a practical point of view, budget watches can be hard workers. Many inexpensive watches are designed to be reliable, with everyday usefulness that people count on. They may not have the high luxury finish of an extremely expensive watch, but they can still show time accurately, have alarms, stopwatch functions, water resistance, and other practical features that make them useful tools. A watch that can serve without worry is something that matters to many people. These features show that a watch's value is not only in its cost, but how well it fits a person's life. Overall, budget watches matter because they help make the world of watches open to everyone, not just those who can afford luxury prices. They bring enjoyment, style, personal history, useful features, and community experiences that go beyond money. Watches are about time and the moments in life that matter, and affordable watches help make those moments feel important, personal, and meaningful, no matter the price. If this breakdown changed how you think about luxury, let us know in the comments. Which other watch brands do you think deserves to be on the list? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button. Subscribe so you never miss our next deep dive into the hidden dynamics of wealth, status, and the brands desperately trying to capture both. Because in luxury, nothing is permanent.